Let's talk about Severance Season 2. We're going to be talking about episodes 1 through 4. So we're going to be giving our scores and just an overall thought of the first 4 episodes, and then we'll give a spoiler warning before we get into actual spoilers of the show. So, Alex, you want to go ahead and start and give us your thoughts on the first 4 episodes of Season 2?
Yep. All right, so episode 1, I gave a 8 out of 10. Solid start, nothing groundbreaking, but it was just more Severance. And episode 2, I think I did the same. Yeah, I did 8 out of 10. I think I actually enjoyed episode 2 more than episode 1, but as far as rating wise, they're both 8.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 3, I gave a 9 out of 10. I thought this is the best episode up to this point, and I really liked the weirdness of this episode. It gives you more questions, and it ups the weirdness, and I'm all for that. And it just raises more questions, and the mystery kind of gets bigger, and it just kind of sets the pieces. I feel like it's starting to find its groove.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the ending of that episode was great. And then episode 4, I'll give a 9 out of 10 too. I liked the different setting. I thought it was interesting. There's one thing that kind of made me upset, and it wasn't even have to do with episode 4, but I'll get into it in spoilers.
Okay.
But I love the setting. I love the vibe. I loved the imagery. The acting was great. There's some stuff that happens that I found interesting, and it just builds more on the characters. And I really thought it was well acted, and it was weird and just different. I really liked episode 4. Yeah, that's so 8, 8, 9, 9.
Cool. Okay. We have pretty similar scores, I would say. Maybe one slight difference. So for me, yeah, episodes 1 and 2 almost felt like the same, or 2 halves of the same episode. I gave them both an 8. It definitely felt like it picked up where season 1 left off, gave us more Severance, had really cool camera shots in the first episode. And yeah, I thought it was a great start. Episode 3, I liked even better. I gave that one a 9. Like you said, there were some weird, creepy moments.
Mm-hmm.
Good acting in that one. Gave us a lot more questions. But then the difference I think I'm going to have with you is I thought episode 4 was a 10. I loved episode 4.
Okay.
I think it was the best episode of the season and possibly one of the best ones in the show to this point.
Okay.
The atmosphere for it was great. It had good pacing. It changed up some things, and it had some pretty creepy moments and some weird moments at times.
Uh-huh.
The acting in this episode was incredible.
Yep.
So good. And the whole episode, it started off where I was just like, wait, what is going on? Super confused. And then it just built and built and built. And then, it was just such a good ending. I think it's definitely my favorite of the season so far. It might be one of the best of the whole show. So I gave that one a 10.
Okay, I can see that. I was going to give it a 10. I might give it a 10. There's one thing that makes me mad, and like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with the episode itself, so I could easily give it a 10.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in spoilers then, I'm sure.
Yeah, but overall so far, I haven't watched episode 5 like you have, so try not to spoil it. But overall, I mean, it's just more of Severance, more weird, more questions. Hate it or love it.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it too. I love it. I love it a lot. But yeah, we really can't talk about the show without spoilers. So
yeah, so let's get into spoilers. So spoiler alert for Severance Season 2, episodes 1 through 4. I've also seen episode 5, but I'm going to not spoil episode 5. I'm going to check my notes clearly to make sure that I only talk about the first 4 episodes. And yeah, you've only seen up through episode 4, so Alex, you don't have any issues with that. But
no, yeah. Let me ask you this. Did you know that it was her Audi the whole time? I was fooled.
I had some suspicions. I wasn't sure, but I thought it could have been.
Oh, I was fooled.
There were a couple of things. I think the elevator it showed it not dinging one time when she went down. And then they made it a very clear choice to show her missing the on switch on her computer. I was like, that's weird. Anytime anybody else turns on the computer, they do it super easy. There were some small things that made me think that it might be, but she did a good job of hiding it for the most part.
That must be hard as an actor.
Yeah. Playing someone else,
you're playing yourself.
To be,
yourself kind of. That's
you're
weird.
A different version of yourself. Yeah.
I thought that was a good twist. You're right. I noticed little things like that, but I just did not put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. I thought they did a good job, giving little breadcrumbs where I was like, is it? It might be. And the night gardener was weird to me. That was one of the things, with Irv too. I was like,
yes.
But it kind of makes sense.
That's where I was skeptical.
You could be okay, she doesn't want them to know that she's actually an Egan, and that'll completely change things. There are reasons why she would have to keep that secret too. So
what's his face was how do you even know what a night gardener? You wouldn't even know what to look for or ask for.
True. Yeah.
He pointed that out, and at episode 4. But what I was thinking was she, like in my mind, which is I guess is what they're going for, is she was ashamed of what she saw on the outside, right? Of being her dad being the whatever.
Yep.
So she didn't want to tell everyone that, which that's what they were trying to go for. I just was too dumb to figure it out.
No, I definitely thought that at first too, and then little things, and I definitely wasn't sure.
But it makes sense, and I thought that was a cool twist.
Yeah, it was a good twist for sure. I loved how Irv figured it out. Like Irv,
yes.
I loved how he was like so antagonistic to her. He knew that something was off, and then how he figured it out. Like
his acting was so good in episode 4.
Yeah, his line where he said Helly was never cruel, and that's what it clicked for him was really good.
Yeah, and just like little scenes where you just see him observing and he's starting to like piece things together like slowly throughout the episode.
Yep.
I was like, oh, okay, this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
Like that scene where they're around the campfire and in episode 4.
And some of his talks with Mark.
Yes.
Saying don't trust Helly.
That was good. I'm trying to think here.
So what was your one thing that you felt like brought it down to a 9?
So I think I'm being too harsh on the episode because I don't think it's the episode's fault. I think it's the structure's fault. My issue was the end of episode 3. You had the whole thing where he's tying this, his mind together, so the severance, both the innie and outie together, right?
Reintegration.
And that's completely ignored in episode 4. So it's more of a structure issue for me, I think.
Yeah, that was definitely confusing because I was like, okay, after episode 3, I'm like, oh, things are about to get weird. He's going to be like seeing things, and I was like excited to see that reintegration happening, and then it just nothing happened with it in episode 4. That was a little weird. I'll agree with that.
I think they did one scene right when after like he was with Helly where it like flashed between his wife and her.
That's true. They did have that little flash. Yep.
But with Severance, normally I feel like every other episode is when it goes back to the question. Like one episode focuses on the innies, one episode focuses on the outies, then you go back to the innies. So I understand not getting that resolved right away.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just the first time where it bothered me, the structure, because that was such a big thing, and then all of a sudden we're thrown into some force, and it was just right after. Did it work? Did it not work? I just didn't like that. Yeah. It's more not on the episode's fault. It's more on the structure fault. That's why I could give it a 10 out of 10.
I could see that.
And I know, like, it's supposed to be weird, right? Like, that's how the show is. Like,
yeah.
But this is the only time, like, that weirdness irked me, that was just so jarring to me, because it's not like it was like, I'm seeing the inner outie. It's allegedly they're doing the reintegration, so he has both. So, like, I want to know, what happened with that?
Yeah, yep.
It's just not something that you can, in my mind, when I was thinking, it's not something you have to wait to resolve, because you're combining the two. So how are you going to wait to resolve that? You can't have that excuse to going to an innie or an outie if they're, which again, they might explain it in the 5th episode, and even in the 4th episode, maybe it worked, but it's still, like, it takes time, maybe.
You do learn a little bit more in the next episode, but that's all I'll say.
So it's just mainly the structure, but
sure.
Yeah, I can see a 10 out of 10. That the imagery in episode the stark difference from being in an office to just that forest was so good.
The story was interesting that they told about Kier, and then how they they mentioned
creepy.
that one temper, and then when Irv is like sleeping and has that nightmare, like that felt like a horror movie nightmare kind of thing.
It did. It really did. I was like, dang.
It was pretty creepy. He looks over and it's that one temper thing. What was it?
Yeah, that was freaking freaky. Yeah.
Whoa is the temper. Yeah.
Whoa. See, that's what's so weird. That's what's so good about the show. It's like, so going back to episode 3, like when they found like those Amish goat farmland down below, people. It's like, what the hell? Like,
what is going on here?
Like, it's like some big room with grass and goats, and they're like all with pitchforks, and like they don't have any inkling what's going on outside. Like, are they there all the time, or how long have they been there? Do they get to clock in and out? Like, what?
There's so many questions.
And why? Why? Like, what is it? Like, why do you need goats down there? Like,
I don't know.
I love it though. I love the weirdness. Like, even the most basic, like, what are they doing for work? They're feeling numbers to place in buckets. Like, what?
Yeah, and what is Cold Harbor? Like, what is the goal of this?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like,
and why is his wife there?
Yeah, why? Yeah, like, why is his dead wife there? Who's now they're obviously trying to find, like, what happened to her? Like, you remember last season there was like that whole museum under the ground too. Like,
yep, with those weird dancing things.
Yeah.
Which I think represent the 4 tempers, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. And those are like the basic of questions. Like, it's like some Lost level stuff, man. Like, you're filling numbers and placing them in buckets. Like, what does that do?
It seems like Mark is the key to it. Why is he so special?
Yeah.
They keep saying, like, Mark's almost done. Mark's almost done.
Yes. They never fired Mark either. They kept Mark.
Everything they do is to try and get him to keep going.
This is weird.
Yeah.
This is why I love it. It's like, what the heck? And then that's why I loved episode 4 is just like, what the heck? It's like some camp retreat. And I guess it was kind of neat though. Yeah, because they're like, they never seen the outside, right? The innie. So it's kind of cool. Like, they're almost like babies.
I love that part where Milchick's like, and this is the tallest waterfall in the world.
Yeah.
Like, man, they could just lie to them and they have no idea. That's so funny.
Seriously. And what's the supervisor's name? What's that guy's name?
Milchick.
Milchick, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's the one you just said. Is he good? Is he bad? Like, I can't tell. Does he truly care about them or does he not? That is
a good question, and I don't know.
There's moments where, man, he's convincing, but then there's moments where, like, this is his job.
I like him a lot. Like, first of all, he's a good actor and is able to play that character really well. But just as a character, like, he's interesting. I want to know what makes him tick. Why is he there? Yeah.
And there's scenes with him, you know, when that lady came and they said that the board gave him the gift with the paintings, and
that was
he did not like the board. He did not like those paintings.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's Kier basically
understandably.
Blackface. Like, that was pretty weird.
Yeah, it's like, what? And then he puts it like all, you know, he hides it away in his closet. It's like, so does he not like this company? Like, why is he doing this job?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I want to know that answer.
And Dylan cracks me up. He's like, why are you here? You're a child. Like, with what's her face?
Yeah, with Miss Huang. I love Dylan too. He has some of the best lines.
Because he's thinking what we're all thinking. And he says,
for sure.
That was another interesting aspect. Like, how they, you know, for his good behavior, they let his Audi's wife visit. Yeah. That has to be so weird for the wife.
That would be really weird.
She's obviously, like, gonna fall for the innie, right? But, like, it's the same person. But it's not.
Yeah, that was a really, it felt like super awkward, even though like he doesn't know her, but she knows him kind of. Yeah. But I thought that was acted really well because I felt awkward sitting in on that. I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be here?
Yeah, because she said like, love you. And he's like,
yeah.
That has to be weird because I'm like, I could kind of tell like later they kind of hinted like, she thought it was weird, but she kind of liked like the innie, like the stuff he was saying and stuff. And
yeah, like the Audi, they showed him later, and he just seemed kind of lazy and
yeah, he kind of like he's kind of like a failure in a sense.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And this innie is kind of saying like, oh, you know, these kids like all talking different, and it's interesting. It's weird but interesting.
Yeah.
Just the premise of the show is so interesting because it's the same person, but it's not. It's just weird. It's such a. I know I've said weird 8 billion. Take a shot every time I say weird. So far, man, it's really good. The acting has been great. The acting has always been great in the show. Yeah. I think.
Yep.
And at the end of episode 4, again, try not to spoil it because I know you've seen episode 5, but I know they said they're gonna, you know, erase.
Yeah, they let Irv go.
Irving. So it's like, what does that mean? Is there like a thing where you can like just erase the innie completely? To never like return, or is it more of just like you're done, we're never gonna bring your innie back?
Yeah, I think it's more that one. I don't know for sure, but just how I took it is like, yeah, he's not coming back. He's just gonna be his Audi from now on the outside.
Yeah. Because I was wondering if there's like a way you can like reverse the severance.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the more we talk about episode 4, you know, I think I might switch mine to 10 out of 10 because I'm thinking about it more and more, and that's gonna be an episode like I remember forever.
Yeah.
And you know, there's always episodes in a show like like in Game of Thrones, you know, we all remember like the Battle of the Bastards, all that stuff, Hard Home. This is going to be one of those episodes where I'm going to remember this episode.
For sure. And it starts off so weird, and then it just builds.
It almost felt like its own contained story, like a mini story within a story.
It kind of did, yep. And one thing I was like, why don't they go up and talk to the clones or see what's going on with the clones or whatever they are? I personally wanted to know more about that. I'm like, go look at them, but yeah.
That was another thing. Yeah, I didn't even touch into that. Because they're clones or whatever. It's like,
pointing
Like, what
the
the
way.
heck?
Yeah.
Is that like, are they like actual clones? Are they the original people and like the people were following the clones?
Yeah,
Like,
I
what's
don't
going
know.
on? Is this gonna be some weird ass thing where like, is this town that the Severance is in? It's like, is the world like ended and this is like its own little dystopian dome or something? I'm so
Maybe.
like, I just don't get it. How do you
Honestly,
tie
with
this in?
how weird this show is, I could see it going that kind of direction. Yeah, like it may not, but it wouldn't be unbelievable to me that something like that.
We
could be
haven't
going on.
really seen the world. It's always this town.
Yep. And it's weird. I can't pin down what time period this is. Like, the cars look like they're from the 80s. The TVs look like they're from the 50s or 60s. And, like...
Do they have cell phones?
You know? I don't know, because Irv used the payphone, so I don't know if we've seen a cell phone.
That's why I was talking to Kara, my wife, like, why was he using a payphone? I'm like, there's a payphone? Like, that, I literally said that.
There's even one still existing?
Yeah, and that's when I started getting confused. I'm like, when? Because then I started paying attention to the cars, too. But then you look at the Severance building, and it looks modern, right? They're flashing cards, and...
It looks, like, futuristic, almost.
Yeah, I don't know the time period. This is weird. Like, is this some dystopian... Like, the world's ended, and like I said, they're in some dystopian town, and this Severance, it just keeps it
or it's
running. I don't know.
Fallout alternate future kind of thing, or yeah.
I mean, I'm just very curious, and you know what the crappy thing is we're not going to find out till like the last season.
Yeah, how many seasons is it supposed to have?
I don't know. I feel like Apple TV normally does what, 3 or 4 seasons?
It's expected to have more than 2, but the exact number has not been confirmed. So
if I were to guess, I feel like it would be probably 3 or 4. Maybe. I don't think Apple TV ever had 5 seasons of a show.
I don't know.
Ted Lasso is 3 seasons. Oh no, I think they're bringing that back too, but I don't know. I mean, I guess you could tie this up in another season.
Yeah, it definitely won't be tied up this season. I'm pretty sure there's so much I want to know.
No, and I hope we find the answers. Like, I want to know why there's goat people down there.
Yeah.
I want to know what these clone things are. I want to know why they put these numbers in the buckets by how they feel. In the other little mystery that they mentioned with Irving, how he was doing those paintings, and the lady's like, "Oh, you know about that door? You know what I'm talking about?" I want to know where that leads, because there's something about this door that they're building up. And again, I don't know if they go into an episode 5, but
I think not really. I do have a theory about Irving, that there's some things where like this has nothing to do with episode 5. This is just some things that I've noticed. So in season 1, he would like fall asleep at his desk all the time, and I think we learned somehow that he would like keep him, I think from one of his diary entries or something, he would like keep himself awake a lot as an outie, then like dream as an innie. And I feel like he was trying to like self reintegrate or something, like stress his brain out so much that he somehow like it bled over between the outie and innie. I feel like he was on some deeper mission to figure out what that, hallway was, because he kept painting it.
Yeah.
Don't know what's back there. Don't know why, but I feel like he was doing, because he was in like the Navy or something. He's like,
yeah,
he's a smart, driven dude when he wants to do something, I'm sure. I don't know. I feel like he was doing something.
That would make sense, because if you kind of bleed between the two, obviously you're subconsciously painting that door or hallway.
Yep.
Whatever it was. I just want to know what that door was, because allegedly that other department used to use that door, she was saying, for deliveries or something. But they don't anymore. What's his face's department?
Bert's old department.
Yeah,
yep.
Bert's old department. They paint and do all that stuff, whatever. Clearly, they're setting something up there, because why don't they use that door for deliveries anymore? Like, what's through that door? Where is it being delivered? What are you delivering? Why are you delivering it? Like,
yep. All good questions.
I know. And like the board. What's up with the board, man? Like that scene with the supervisor. What's his name? Well, yeah. So weird, right? And
yeah.
Oh, and the other lady, the old supervisor, got fired.
Yeah, what's
her whole storyline?
Yeah, her story is really weird.
That scene where she goes to Helly and saying, "Hey, like, I want this position back," and then she calls the board and says we could both go in, and she gets scared and runs away. What was up with that?
I don't know. I agree. That was weird.
Why is she so scared of the board like that?
Or it almost seemed like she noticed who the driver was or something. Or like, I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but something spooked her. And yeah, she just ran off and we haven't seen her since.
But yeah, because she was, demanding Helly, like, hey, I need that position. I need to finish what I started. So she knows something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're right, because even after Helly called the board, she slowly started walking over there.
Yeah.
And then she like hesitated and just ran off and then drove off.
Very weird.
That was so weird. There's another scene with her when she was driving away with Mark, right? Where because he still didn't know if his wife was alive or not.
Yeah.
And she pretty much confirmed it for him by not saying anything.
And then her screaming and driving away. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing with Miss Cobell.
Yeah. I you know what character I do? I think, I wouldn't say underrated, but I like for such a little screen time is I like Mark's sister because she seems determined and she does not trust that company.
Yup. She seems like she's got her head on straight. I agree.
Yes, like she's the one character I'm like, yes, like this is how a normal person would be asking or acting and asking these questions. And
Yup.
And I'm almost scared for her. Like, I wonder if they're gonna do anything. Like, she's starting to
stand
question
out
too
to them.
much.
Yeah.
You could tell when Milchek was kind of checking in on Mark and stuff. And I'm very curious. And like you said, the time period, they were like talking in some diner, her and Mark. It's like, what time period is this? Or is it like multiple times? Is this gonna be some trippy thing where every time you leave, you like go? I don't know. I'm overthinking it.
I don't know.
But so good.
I do think there could be something weird with time with them, like maybe keeping the innies for longer than the outies think, but I don't know how or why. Because there's been some things about
cloning, right? Maybe that's why you clone.
Maybe, yeah.
And who was the lady that did the regeneration, whatever, with Mark?
Her name.
Do you know her name?
I do have it here somewhere. Ragabi.
Okay, so it's funny because she knew that his wife was alive, and she's like, "Why didn't you say anything?"
Yeah.
They had to say something there because that was a plot hole from season 1. Well, not a plot hole, because I know
a question.
She was rushed off, but if I remember correctly, she was. They explained it, right? She was an old employee that left, and she ran studies and tests to sever the line between the two. So she knows her innie and outie. She is now one.
I thought she was an employee, as in not a severed employee, but someone who worked to make them severed. But I'm not 100% sure on that.
You could be right. You could be right because she was testing it. She tested it on people and could never get it quite right. No, maybe she worked with the Severance program, because there's people who work. If you don't go on the Severance floor, you can work for Lumon and
not be severed.
Yeah, not be severed, which is interesting because we've never seen like an employee. Whenever we see them leave, there's no one around.
Well, people like Milchek, I think, aren't severed.
No.
And Miss Wong, maybe. But yeah, Ragabi appears to have worked for the company in a scientific or biomedical capacity, as she claims to have installed severance chips in several employees' brains.
Okay, that makes sense.
And now she works against Lumon by trying to reintegrate them.
So the goal is to combine the innie and outie, so you know it all. You know what your life that happened inside, you know your life that happens on the outside.
Yep, and she's the one who reintegrated Petey, Mark's friend, from the inside, yeah. That's
right. But that would be awesome if they can. Maybe they go into episode 5, but having Mark kind of hide that he severed the severance, whatever, the outie. That'd be pretty cool. Actually, now that I think about it, it's almost like he's a mole inside. Like, I know what's going inside and outside.
Speaking of mole, that's another reason why I thought Helly might be, because them removing the cameras and mics, the only reason they would do that is if they had
if you have someone inside.
Yeah.
Yes. And that makes sense. That does make sense, because I was like, no cameras. There's no way they'd let them roam around everywhere.
Right.
There's no way. And that makes sense.
Oh, the show is so good.
So my question is, in season 1, Helly obviously. So the whole point of season 1 of Helly having an innie was to what then?
I think it was originally she was doing it to like show the world that it was safe, and like it was basically a PR stunt, I think.
Which makes sense. Okay. But how long has there been a severed floor then before her?
It's a good question. We'll talk about that next episode. I've seen some people try to do some math, but it's total guesswork. And it has something to do with episode 5, so. Okay,
because obviously the first episode started with Helly on that tape, like, being severed. So it's like, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And you know what the crappy thing is we're not going to get all these answered, are we?
No, probably not this season. Hopefully we get some answers, but.
As long as I found out about the goat people, The goat people, and I just want to know about these dang numbers going into buckets.
What are the numbers, Mason?
It's such a good show, though. God, like,
yeah.
This is top tier show in my opinion. Like,
I agree.
Like top tier. Like we talk about our top tier, like Shogun and this. It's like same level. Like this is amazing.
They've got some great actors. The writing is so good and like interesting. They have like great camera shots. They make even just walking down a hallway look interesting.
Yes, like a plain white hallway for that. You're right though. Like having the balloons, like just the colored balloons in there. Like the imagery is great.
Yeah.
Even in the first season when they had like the dance party, you know, we're so used to like the white light hallways and it's all colorful and music and weird. It's just so good. It's and just the concept in itself I'm sold on. Like it's so the idea of going to work and having a totally different self that you don't remember.
That's a really interesting concept.
And that, like, so when you're severed, right, and you go down and work, really it's like a split second in your mind, right? Like
you're like, just instantly back in that elevator going up. And you've just worked.
So it's just like constant. Oh,
the innie's entire life is work. That's also another side of it. That's so weird.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, so these innies, they go up that elevator and in their mind, 2 seconds later, they're going right back down, like instantly.
Yep.
Like if I was an innie, I'd be revolting too. Like, what is this? But if that's all you know.
Yeah, and you're basically like a child. You don't have any. You're basically indoctrinated into this way of life, like from when you wake up on that table.
Yeah.
Like, this is normal.
In season 1, someone was questioning what colors the sky and stuff. It's so interesting. But like also with the Audi, it's like, would you do that? Would you do that?
I don't think so. No.
I don't. It would feel like you're never working. Like it feel like you wouldn't have a job.
It's true. I still like.
I mean, I wouldn't either. I'm just saying.
No.
I don't like the idea one bit. I don't.
Yeah.
But for people, I could see why people would choose that.
It seems like most of the time. Well, we know like Dylan and Mark both were kind of like at their end of their rope, like looking for options. Yeah. So it seems like a desperate thing to want to do at this point. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like you're at the end of your rope, you know, your wife died and you just want, like when Mark did, right? He didn't want to feel it anymore. Like, but when you think about it, do you get relief though? I guess Milchek said, you know, if your other self kind of reflects your mood, he said something about like, why, like ask Mark why he got it originally. Like it was to feel relief. And he's like, if your innie was happy, it will start to reflect on your Audi. It just takes time. That's some conversation with Milchek and Mark. So it's interesting, like how much bleeds through.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got on this. I'm going to watch up. After all this talk, I'm definitely watching episode 5 tonight.
Yep. And then we got episode 6 on Friday.
Yes. And there's going to be 10 episodes. So I love 10 episode seasons, dude.
Yes.
None of this freaking 6 episode crap. But yeah, that's all I got.